This is KGW News at 5.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Joe Ranieri. We want to start tonight with some breaking news out of Northeast Portland. Police say a man was shot and killed at Northeast 1st and Hancock. Now, that's in the Elliott neighborhood. Just around 2 o'clock this afternoon, officers found the victim dead, but no suspects in sight. So far, police haven't made any arrests. Northeast Hancock between 1st and 2nd are now closed while police investigate the shooting. Meanwhile, the case is growing against a Hillsborough coffee stand owner. 61-year-old Jeffrey Hebner was arrested earlier this month on charges involving sex abuse and rape involving 8 job applicants and employees. Now, prosecutors say 14 more women have come forward with similar allegations. Tim Gordon reports that a judge set Hebner's bail at $700,000 this week after hearing the specifics in the case.
This is Jeffrey Hebner in court on February 1st, facing 26 counts, including rape, sodomy, sex abuse, public indecency, and solicitation. It all stems from his alleged activity as the owner of Dream Girls Espresso, a bikini barista stand on Tualatin Valley Highway in Hillsborough. At the time, police described his actions from 2015 to November of last year as a criminal abuse of power against young women, and said,
"It is likely that there could be others out there."
That was telling. In court paperwork connected to a release hearing this week, prosecutors wrote, since this case has been pending, 14 more women have reached out to law enforcement and the investigation is ongoing. They also laid out specifics of the allegations made against Hebner, much of it too graphic to describe here fully. Prosecutors say it started with job applicants tricked into going not to the coffee stand, but to Hebner's home for an interview, where they were informed the barista job included nudity and performing in a sexual way for customers, and were told to disrobe. In one such instance this past November, prosecutors say D, for the defendant, offered KC shots of liquor and lines of cocaine, ultimately forcibly touched KC all over her body, and attempted to rape KC, but she was able to physically block him with her leg. The 19-year-old KC ultimately left and made a report to police that got the case going. Prosecutors say the abuse and exploitation continued for employees at the coffee stand, where several women described the regular occurrence of naughty coffee orders. Those required them to expose their bodies and provide a sexual performance for customers who paid extra fees. The young women told prosecutors hundreds of dollars could be made in a single shift and that Hebner got a cut of the money and often got naughty coffees himself. In conclusion, prosecutors wrote Hebner preyed on particularly vulnerable young women, writing for years he believed he was getting away with horrific acts of sexual abuse, that he was untouchable. Now Hebner's in jail with bail set at $700,000. Tim Gordon, KGW News.
A Silverton teen who's been missing for nearly 4 months has been reunited with his family. The Marion County Sheriff's Office shared the update earlier today. Ezra Mayu is 17 years old now. His family told us in December that he went to work at the Oregon Garden Resort that's in Silverton on October 15th. Later that day, Ezra texted his parents to tell him that he was working a double. But when they went to go pick him up, he was gone. They believe Ezra was caught up in a catfishing scheme. That's where someone online tries to lure someone into a relationship for money or get private information out of them. The sheriff's office didn't give any information about where or how Ezra was found. Nike is asking the city of Portland to provide security at its store in Northeast Portland. The Oregonian says a letter was delivered to Mayor Ted Wheeler's office on Thursday. Nike wants the city to cover the cost of having off-duty police officers handle security. Late last year, a KGW investigation looked into what's happening at the Nike community store along MLK. It's been closed for months, and our analysis of Portland crime data found that since 2019, the Nike community store has reported 437 shoplifting cases to police. The mayor's office told the Oregonian meetings between Nike and the city are ongoing as they look to find a solution. Tonight we have an update on the murder case at the University of Idaho. There's more pushback against the gag order that the judge put in place. First, one of the victim's family filed an appeal saying the order violated his client's First Amendment rights. Friday, the suspect's attorney objected. He, along with prosecutors, say because the family's attorney has special access to information about the case, they're worried it could be leaked to the public and sway a jury. The gag order limits investigators, law enforcement, and attorneys from talking about information in the case that is not public record. A legal expert is weighing in on the criminal investigation opened against executives at the OLCC. The Oregonian first reported this week that leaders at the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission were keeping bottles of high-end liquor for themselves. They specifically named Pappy Van Winkle's 23-year-old whiskey, a very rare and expensive bourbon which can cost thousands of dollars a bottle. Yesterday, Oregon's Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum announced she's looking into ethics violations.
I think the investigation itself is just simply an indication that this matter is serious enough in some sense, whether it's the scale of potential misconduct or simply the public confidence in the government, that it warrants at least having an investigation so that the public will understand that, hey, these are government regulators. In a sense, they have power over the rest of us, but there are watchdogs who are going to look into the matter.
Governor Kotek has already called for the resignation of the top officials. In an email to the Associated Press, a spokesperson for the OLCC said they will comply fully with the criminal investigation. Tonight, a Prineville family hopes for strength and healing for their infant twins currently in the ICU with RSV. Despite a statewide decline in hospitalizations, the situation for the babies remains serious. As of Saturday night, both are on ventilators and fighting off pneumonia. Alma McCarty shares their story.
Holden and Hartley were born prematurely in December, and now at around just 2 months old, they're both hospitalized here at Randall Children's, battling RSV.
Two tiny fighters now fighting a serious respiratory illness.
The twins were born at 32 weeks. Their actual due date was, I think, the same day they were starting to show symptoms for RSV.
The twins' uncle, Ryan Hood, explains both Holden and Hartley were airlifted to the ICU in Portland from Prineville earlier this week.
The ventilators are taking away the strain and stress of breathing so their bodies can focus on healing. They're both about 6 pounds, so very tiny.
This isn't the twins' first time in the NICU. Hood says they spent about a month in the hospital in Bend, only home for about 3 weeks. Parents Lindsay and Garrett Puckett now asking for prayers and support for their babies.
They're very grateful for the outpouring of love and support from friends, family, and strangers, and just community in general.
Oregon health officials reported a decline in community spread of flu and RSV, predicting a drop in respiratory virus hospitalizations in the coming weeks. At this point, they do remain high. As RSV season ramps down, this family still urges caution and care.
It's very serious, and honestly, the twins hadn't really even left the house other than appointments. So it can be very easy to get infected.
In North Portland, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
A heads up for drivers tonight. The Morrison Bridge is closed all weekend to traffic, including bike and pedestrians. City crews will be painting and doing maintenance. The closure started last night at 10 and wraps up Monday morning at 5.